Hi there, and welcome to Career Lab. I'm Joel Siegel, the producer and host of Career Lab, and of course the show features America's career counselor, Julie LaCroix, my colleague and friend who's sitting right across from me. Julie, welcome back. We're back on the air.
We are back on the air.
We had a little tiny bit of a break, and I wasn't vacationing. Were you?
Yes.
Oh.
Went and saw my parents, took a few days off, enjoyed a little bit of quiet in the fall.
Well, that explains it.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not really being honest. I was in Europe,
I was going to say, I have some pictures that say otherwise.
Yeah, I was in Paris and I was in Spain. But we're here now to help young, medium, and older adults with their career development. And of course, everyone knows that no one does that like you, Julie. So let's dive in right away this morning. And our first guest is named Bryce. Bryce, are you on the line with us?
Yes, I'm on the line.
Okay, Bryce, nice to meet you. This is Joel Siegel, and we're going to try to help you a little bit with your career development problems or issues or challenges today. I'm going to flip this right over to Julie, and we can get started.
Hi, Bryce.
Okay. Hello, Julie.
So you're 24 years old. You are working, and confident in your skill set, but a little bit career confused. Is that the story?
Career confused is correct. Yes.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, well, I'm confused on career choices because first off, I don't really have a college degree in anything. I consider myself a talented person, but I don't know where to center those talents. I don't know which career would be best for me.
Okay.
With the skill set I have.
Okay.
Basically, I just need a direction to go in, and go in that direction with confidence. Knowing that at the end of that road, there might be something there waiting for me. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I love what you have. So much of what we call career readiness, and a lot of people don't have that. But it sounds like if we just put your needle on the record, that song's going to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I'd love to sing my song.
All righty. Well, let's talk about the things that you do think you do well.
Yeah, what are some of your talents or skill sets that you alluded to a minute ago?
Well, I've had many different jobs in the past 6 years. Some of them have included construction. When it comes to hard work, I work hard and really do a good job. I've also worked in customer service. I've been a salesman before, talking to people, really feeling people out during a sale and kind of trying to say the right words and the right tone of voice, goes a long way when you're trying to persuade someone to, buy something or, just for them to be more comfortable in the, setting that we're in.
Do you like persuading people?
I do, yes. It's challenging. But I do.
And do you like the construction setting?
Yes, I like both, but construction isn't really something I want to get into because, although I was in construction, it being an electrician specifically, basically everyone who I worked with said they regretted going into it, mainly the older folks who had been working for 30 years. They said this is hard. I'm tired,
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, let me bump in and ask one question that's real critical right now. Of the things you're describing to Julie and I, what are you most passionate about? What do you like doing most? And maybe that will help us guide you.
Well, that's a really good question. I've been asked that before. I haven't been able to answer it with full confidence, but connecting with people, talking to people, understanding where they're at, and hopefully them understanding where I'm at, and just that's something I always love to do. That's something that boosts me up, and it's something I'm good at too. I feel that I can talk to people. I feel I can connect with a wide range of different type of folk.
Okay, so let's go. Certainly working in customer service or sales, some kind of communication-based role would be a wonderful start for you. If you wanted to go back to school and or if you think you wanted to ever work in some kind of counseling or teaching or therapeutic type of role where you deepen your impact on an individual's personal or professional development, that would require you going back and getting an undergraduate and then a master's degree in some kind of licensure. So since that's not on the table right now, let's just address your current situation with the education level that you have, which would be some type of persuasive, client-centered, customer service oriented role. So those are two very, those are descriptive of two different things. Sales is one thing and client service is another. But you're definitely going to want to be working somewhere in there. So that would be where we would stabilize your role. And then in terms of stabilizing your industry, we would now want to address more about what Joel was asking. Passion is one way to talk about it, but what types of things really interest you? You already have experience in construction, and I'm not saying that you should be an electrician for your whole life. If you don't have an interest in becoming a practitioner, I would agree that doesn't even fit your profile. But for you to go out and work for a larger construction management company in a sales capacity where you're selling projects, doing business development, working with clients, coordinating larger projects, that could be a way that we could take your customer service and sales orientation for a role and embed it into an industry where you already have experience. So why don't you give me a little feedback on that?
Okay, I heard everything you said, and the thing that comes to mind is, I mean, that sounds great. I know a guy who does that. He's he's in sales. He does that, but for a different branch of work. He does that for more of the medical side of things.
Sure.
So he does that, but he has a degree. He knew people in that line of work that kind of helped him get to where he's at.
Well, medical sales are extremely technical. Those are that's scientific. So they would be looking for either extensive experience or some kind of academic degree in a life science or a chemistry, some kind of biology. So let's go back to what areas do you know about? So you've worked in construction. What other industries?
I've worked in construction, customer service. I worked at a sensory deprivation tank place where I was like the head. There were two people on staff there. I was the head person. So when people got out of their first free float, I would try and sell them floats. I taught kids how to swim for a little while.
Okay. So the teaching and the coaching is a big part of your profile.
Yeah, it sounds like Bryce, you've had not that much overall experience, and your industries aren't that wide. So I think where Julie and I are going with this is, I really heard you say that you're not that much of a fan of construction because of things you've seen from electricians and people who've been in the industry. I think what we want to concentrate on is your communicative skills in either sales or customer service. And I think really at this point, since you're so limited in terms of the industries you've worked in, you may have the ability to choose an industry that you want to get into and begin to start there with sales or customer experience or customer service. I wanted to ask you, do you have a big social media presence? Because you talked about connecting with people.
Big social media presence? I mean, I have Facebook, Instagram.
Okay, so you're on at least.
I'm active, yeah.
Okay, that's good.
So Bryce, let me ask you a question. Would you be ever open to getting an AA degree or a professional certificate from a community college in an area of expertise to build some knowledge of an industry so that you could then work in? Okay. So I think even if you don't go to college for your bachelor's degree traditional route, I believe it's still important that everybody gets some kind of training, vocational or otherwise. And if you're interested in, if you don't want to get a bachelor's degree or that's not on the option list right now, that's perfectly fine. You can still build a professional career. But I would highly encourage you to get online to the local community colleges here in California, because they are robust with programs that are a lot more intricate than general ed. You could go get an associate of science in engineering and go, try to pursue some kind of sales and marketing job or sales and customer service job in an engineered product for a smaller local company that isn't looking for a 4-year degree, that isn't looking for a Fortune 500 style candidate. So there are lots of options for you. But I think that the problem, if you will, your symptom is you're a little bit career confused. But the problem is you haven't picked a route of career knowledge, industry knowledge to really, you wouldn't go to a city without a map, right? So you need to populate your knowledge. And if it's not going to be the field of construction, and I'm still convinced that that could be an option for you, but if it's not going to be that, then I would encourage you to get online to the community colleges and take a look at the different degree programs that they offer. The AA is usually a 2-year thing. You can, in the AA is embedded in the AA is a professional certification where you don't have to take all the general ed if you don't want to, but you can get industry knowledge. And what that's going to provide you is basic vocabulary and methodology that's used in the field. And you don't need a lot of technical knowledge to sell. You need great communication skills like you have and a general working knowledge of the vocabulary that is utilized in the research and development of those products. And I highly encourage you to look around what the programs are and think about them from a STEM skills perspective: science, technology, engineering, and math. Look at the engineering-based degrees and certificates. Look at the science-based degrees and certificates, because if you have a friend who's in the sciences and you do like the outdoors and sensory work, usually people who are in that orientation of career tend to like more scientific, environmental types of things. There are lots of different things for you to still explore. I think you're at a pre-exploration phase. That's my assessment.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say your assessment is good. I am actually, I went to community college for 3 years at one point.
Okay.
I took a long break, and I'm currently in the fall semester just for 2 classes. One of them is a public speaking class, a communications class,
Sure.
and one of them is just a tennis class, basically a prerequisite if I just want to further my college,
Sure.
venture.
You're doing your
know,
general ed
so-
pack. And what would you, if you could say, I have a bachelor's degree, what would you hold it in?
Maybe communications, I guess, considering we've been talking about the subject of communication for a little bit now. Yeah, I think I would probably go with that.
Okay, well,
I mean,
Bryce, let me jump in here for a minute. I mean, Julie's given you some really good direction, which is to slow down, take a look at your educational needs.
Yeah.
Make sure you get some primary education, whether it's at a community college or
In an
whatever
industry.
level.
Yeah.
And also, I think you just tipped us off to something very important. Whether you choose to go all the way to a bachelor's degree or get an associate's degree, however you choose to work that, communication is one of your fortes, and that's a very strong degree to have. You can use that in a lot of different ways. So you're kind of, as Julie said, just kind of starting out. And I think that's something you want to try to focus on, okay?
I would definitely take some classes in sensory industries, the engineering and the science, because you're an outdoorsy kind of guy, and physical work, sensory work is part of your profile. So I would get smart about engineered and medical based products, something with a more sensory profile as an industry, and utilize academic pathways, a few classes, a little extra training to, again, populate your understanding of the vocabulary that's used to describe those types of products. And I think you're going to be really successful with or without a degree. Let me jump
in there real quickly, Bryce. Were you thinking of continuing your education as we're discussing this in this podcast?
Yes, and I definitely am. In my situation right now, currently, I am, but I'm actually more focused towards work. I don't know what your thoughts are going to be on this, but I just I got a job again at a restaurant, and the main part of this new restaurant, it's a fast casual place.
Yeah.
And the main part of it is just talking to customers, just relating to them, you know, making sure that they're enjoying their experience there, because in turn they will tip more, you know. So I really have
Bryce, it's a good short-term strategy, but it's not a long-term strategy. Over the long term, it would underemploy you. It's a great short-term strategy, and you have flexibility. Use a different pair of glasses when you log on to the community colleges. Just do me a favor. Humor me. Okay. Log on, take a look at every single professional certificate that they offer, and find one that has some kind of science, technology, engineering, or math undercarriage, and and train to that, so that because you will always be a communicator, you will always be a persuasive, client service oriented professional. There's no question that that's your primary lead, but you can't build a sustainable career, in my opinion, unless you're using those communications in a STEM field. That's going to be your best bet. So have fun with that job now. It's intoxicating to talk to fun people all day long and to get those great tips, and you're going to make a lot of money doing that. But at the same time, be investing in the long-term future. That's my advice for you.
Okay, well, Bryce, we have to wrap up this segment. It's been really great having you on the show. Because you've been on Career Lab, one of us will follow up with you, and we'll have a chance to do a little deeper dive and talk a little more about where you're going. But thank you so much for coming on the show. Has it been helpful for you?
It has, yes.
Okay, good. Well, thanks so much, and we'll be in touch soon.
Okay.
Take care, Bryce.
You take care.
You too.
Okay, well, that was an interesting young man.
Yeah, I love his
confidence.
confidence, though, Joel. He just needs a rudder. He doesn't have any depth, and I think he feels that. He feels like he's lacking that, and I always feel that people have more potential than they're showing us, and so I really do believe that he needs to challenge himself to take on some classes and stop thinking of himself as a sales and customer service person.
Yeah, I think it's clear that he's just a kid who needs to get some training and some education, and he will. And I think you were really, really nice and in advising him to do that. At the same time, it's kind of hard to know what he'll really blossom into because it's so early in his development.
It is so early, and he's a little bit, he's got that deferred entry, that kind of one foot still back in post-adolescence.
Right.
We could hear it, right? So, but for him, for any career transition, there's the confusion comes from not having a rock solid feel for what their role is, and then not having an understanding of what industry. So it's just a definition. It's for him. It's defining role in industry. He doesn't have his industry.
Just got to grow and go to school and check that out.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to wrap up this segment,
Yeah.
although I guess we have a lot more to come and a
Yes.
lot more exciting guests and callers to talk to.
Yeah.
So we'll see you soon again on another
Absolutely.
Career Lab podcast.
You've been listening to another episode of Career Lab, right here in Orange County's only community radio station, OCTalkRadio.net.